Hello.
Hello, here we are.
Here we are.
Again.
Yes.
What episode number is
This is episode 6.
6, okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Starting to feel more and more like a real thing every time.
Yeah. New developments happening all the time.
Totally.
Yeah.
Gonna do that. This is probably, definitely, absolutely not gonna be out before the Pleasant Street DJ show thing.
Probably not, but that'll be a fun night.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
If you were there, it was fun.
Yes.
It was a blast.
Yes.
So it's amazing we're even alive.
Yes.
Yes.
That's how much fun it's going to be.
How crazy it was.
It's going to be a wild night.
But yeah, I haven't had a chance to talk to you about this off camera, but since we're on the subject of that, there may be some more opportunities to do things like that there and here as well.
Yeah.
If you're interested.
Yeah, for sure.
Finding some ways to tie what we're doing here into the real world.
Yes.
Build a community or something.
I love it.
Around like-minded loud guitar music weirdos.
Yes. It's what I want.
Cool. So today we are doing Pittsburgh / regional area bands.
Yes.
From the day, from
back
80s, 90s up through the early 2000s in some ways, because a lot of these people are still doing the thing.
Yeah.
Maybe not in these bands that we're going to discuss and highlight today, but in other ways, they're around.
Yeah.
Some of them may even be watching this.
I hope so. Yeah.
Hello. I don't know if we had a chance to talk about the In the Days of Iron and Steel documentary. Did you go to that?
I didn't get to see it. I'm hoping to see it at a later date.
Yeah,
I went. See it?
Yeah, I went to the screening. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
There was a lot of people there. I think they severely underestimated the amount of people that would show up, because I don't think there's been a show with that many people at it in a long time.
Yeah.
So it was interesting to see that many people come out for something like that. It goes to show that people do still care.
Yeah.
In their own way, but they don't want to see your new band. Fuck your new band.
Yeah, they want to know about your old band.
They only want the nostalgia.
Yeah.
But it was really, really great to see a lot of the fun old live footage that they were able to get their hands on, just because I'm a little younger, so I didn't get to see a lot of that stuff. So even though it was only blips in time, it was still cool.
Cool. Yeah, hopefully I can get to see it soon.
So this is kind of coming off of that. I know that we discussed doing this idea before that screening, but I remember hearing through the grapevine that was happening. So this is kind of just our way of unofficially sort of, not necessarily piggybacking off of that.
Celebrating it.
But celebrating
the history.
Yeah.
Locally. And
we're going to discuss some stuff some bands that were talked about in that documentary, some that weren't.
Yeah.
And definitely some stuff outside of Pittsburgh as well. So I'd say let's just start with a Pittsburgh band and then we will go from there. I don't know what you're interested in kicking things off with.
You want me to kick it off then?
Yeah, you kick it off.
Let's go way back. And I'm pretty sure that this band is in the documentary. I was told they are anyway, but Iron Cross.
Yes.
From their Warhead LP. I think this was year was this? Maybe 85? Yeah, 1985 on Micromix Records, a local label. I think they maybe put out only this record and one other record. It might have been run by the band. Or
it was Micro.
So we'll do one from this record.
I just realized this chair's been in the shot the whole time. Whoops.
2.
That's okay.
Yeah, we don't care.
Yeah.
So
sorry to everyone that had to look at the chair the whole time.
We're going to do a song from this Iron Cross record, and we're going to do the first song. Why not? Set Your Sights is the name of that.
I'm a loaded weapon, practiced every day.
Iron Cross.
Yeah.
You had mentioned that they changed their name to Hollow Cross,
Yes.
which you do have a Hollow Cross record on you, just
Mhm.
because the fact that there were so many bands called Iron Cross. And I
Yeah.
remember when I heard about Iron Cross, my
Mhm.
first thought was like, oh, those guys are from here. And then it's like, I'm probably thinking of like a completely
The DC
different
band
other
or
band or
yeah.
something like that wasn't even that band.
Mhm.
Because I also feel like on top of there being so many bands that had that name, they also used the same kind of like logo or sort of imagery, and like it was very like,
Yeah, it would be easy to get bands confused, particularly at that time with no internet. And, you know, it's like how there was Slayer and then there was another Slayer in San Antonio that eventually just put SA on the end of their name.
Yeah.
So, yeah, easy to not know that halfway across the country, their band was the same. They don't have widely distributed records, but
Yeah.
that's a really cool record and like a cool piece of Pittsburgh metal history. And it just got reissued too. So it's available for a nice normal price. And like you were saying, that one's almost like the real early Rat material.
Yeah, well, it's 85. So,
yeah,
I mean,
makes sense.
we're in there, you know?
Heavy little record.
Yeah, hell yeah. So, the time has come where I'm going
this
to.
This is kind of part of why you wanted to do this episode is to show me this record. Is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me get it. Actually, no, I don't want you to see it. No, it's not that big of a deal. Okay. So what we're going to be doing today.
Yeah.
Is actually a bit of a rivalry.
Okay.
Because, so Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Sports town.
Yeah.
One of our biggest competitive rivals, the city of Cleveland, Ohio.
Yes. Okay.
So I was recently in California, and I was in a record shop in Riverside, California, and I found Cleveland Metal.
Okay. So we're doing,
and it's a comp from 1983.
All right.
Full of all of these bands from Cleveland.
Okay.
That maybe you might know some of these, but I was completely unfamiliar with pretty much all of them.
Looking at this, I am familiar with 1, 2, 3 of them. The other ones I am not at all. This is cool though.
Who do you know from the comp?
So Black Death, Shock Paris, and Breaker are the bands that I'm aware of, but I've never heard of Sorcerer or Sacred Few or any of these. Mistreater, actually, they have a record out or some kind of compilation, like, but I thought they were like more of a late 70s band.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Cool. No, that's, I'm excited for this. I didn't know we were going to be doing like a Cleveland versus Pittsburgh thing.
Yeah.
But yeah.
In a friendly way.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
We leave that sports stuff.
This was just one of those like weirdo things that like.
You got to buy this.
Yeah. I was like, I had to get it, and I want to do more than just like highlight, you know, like it on like a blip. I want to kind of like A-B a lot of stuff, play several tracks from this today, combined with Pittsburgh stuff, and we could kind of see just like what those sounds were like at the time, even though it's a little bit earlier 80s, and I think some of your stuff's going to get more into later 80s. But even just from that Iron Cross track, you know, like this stuff doesn't really sound too different from what's going on there. But there's also still has that like late 70s influence stuff, like you had mentioned. Like that Mistreater track is definitely more of like a hard rock rather than a metal. But what was metal at the time? Nobody really knew yet.
Yeah, it was still kind of undefined, which is what makes things cool before there's like, you know, a definite name for things. I think is that period where things can be their most creative. It's not like, oh, these are the rules.
Yeah.
And this Mistreater shot on the back, it's cool because I don't know if I'm looking at a band or a really mean construction crew. Like, it's going to call me faggot as I walk past and chase me down the street.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm probably going to have to scan like all those photos and everything to put it on the episode, because I don't know if I'm going to be able to Google search a lot of this stuff.
These are tough looking bands.
Yeah.
Like, I love it.
So I figured we would just start with Black Death, Taken by Force.
Yeah. Best place. Great Great album by those guys.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, yeah.
Cool.
Into the winter tale.
Black Death. More Black Death. There's two Black Death songs on the comp. There's 2 Black Death songs and 2 Breaker songs.
Okay. I mean, I think there's every reason to have 2 Black Death songs. Their record is Raging, and that song was super cool.
Did you ever get to see them?
No, there's like a version of the band that still exists, and they played Skullfest one year at Drewski's.
Cool.
But I think it was my 40th birthday, and I was kind of running around doing Skullfest.
Yeah.
I didn't watch them, unfortunately. But yeah, I guess some version of the band still exists. So.
Cool. Do you know, is it like the same name?
Yeah.
Oh,
I think it's like Black Death Resurrected or something.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So
cool.
Yeah, great guitar playing.
Yeah.
So you like that band?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. What was the first local band that you remember like seeing and listening to?
Eviction.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cause like my uncle went to Ides all the time.
Okay.
So he knew all those guys.
Yeah.
And like my dad, I don't know if my dad knew any of them personally, but my dad went to a lot of shows.
Mm-hmm.
So like that was just like the first time, like, you know, being like, you know, I remember seeing like the photo of them, I think on the back of the Metal Blade record.
Okay.
And I think my uncle was like, yeah, that's the back of Ides.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's like in my memory. I don't know if that's accurate, but that's like what I remember. And like, I remember being like, oh yeah, like I've seen those guys, you know, and being like, whoa, cool, you know?
Nice. Yeah. I think Triple X was the first local band that I saw live. And I had their demo. And then I think the second one was this band, Doomwatch. Which leads us in nicely, I guess, to this.
Indubitably.
So this is from A Symphony of Decadence record. And I don't think we've done this one before.
I remember you brought this record over, but that was like for one of the live streams. So that's not even tied to this podcast or whatever show, whatever you want to. Is this a podcast? Is this a radio show? What do we do?
Well, once I get around to uploading things, it will be also a podcast, I guess. It's just making sure I have the right track here. That would be 2, 3, 4, and 5. And yeah, we're going to listen to a song called Asylum.
It's okay. Don't be shy. You can do it too.
Will not end behind bars. The home for the insane. The doctors need delight. A brand new toy to play with. Is ecstasy her fright? White jackets, glaring smiles at her. Sinister stares from behind the wall. Eyes on her body, late at night. Lost in the midnight hour, lesbian rape begins. Violated by the guards at midday. In the corridor, ha! Asylum! Here ought to go. moment, so insane. And as they walk away, they cannot hear the screams. She is tortured brutally by bizarre and savage means. The doctor waits, scalpel in hand, the guard beat his call. To probe her body with his blade is his greatest pleasure of all.
Doomwatch.
Doomwatch, baby.
Asylum. Asylum Erotica, I think is the way it's titled on the cassette.
Oh,
Yeah.
and it's just Asylum on the
Yeah.
LP.
Yeah, I think that's the way it is. But yeah, that was like think besides the Triple X demo, this was the first local cassette that I ever.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like,
That song always stood out.
I always have when we get into the sauce of this stuff, especially when I was watching that documentary,
Mhm.
just having like a very big born too late
Okay.
syndrome.
Yeah.
I was born in '85,
Yeah.
so by the time I was like, 8, it's already 1993.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like all this stuff has happened.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it's just like by the time I'm like able to like get my own thoughts and understanding of things, like I knew about eviction, and that was pretty
Yeah.
much it.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until like much, much later in my life that I started to even learn about bands like this.
Yeah.
Just because like it was gone.
Mm-hmm.
And then I didn't know, it was really not even until I started like meeting people that are still playing in bands and being like, oh, you used to play with what band? Like, who did you guys, what was,
Yeah.
hearing about it through that way.
Mm-hmm.
Just because like being in, it's funny actually, the first time it started to come back around was I became friends with this kid named Derek,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody called him Porter.
Mm-hmm.
And he's Todd's son,
Okay.
but he played in a band that my band was playing with at the
Yeah.
time, just like, like post-hardcore-y type stuff, we're like all in our like late teens, early 20s. And then
Mhm.
like, yeah, one day just in passing, he is like, oh yeah, like my dad was in a band back in the day. And I was like, what? I was like, oh cool, like what band was your dad in? He was like Eviction. And then it
Yeah.
was like, just kind of like, whoa, I know
Yeah.
those guys. So it's kind of funny how like it full circled back.
Yeah, everything
Into
kind of
that way.
connects.
Yeah, and then like, not too long after that, or at least somewhere down the road, I start like doing the podcast. I start thinking of people, and I'm like, oh man, it'd be cool to get your dad on the show.
Mhm.
And then, that's how I ended up like reaching out to Todd and meeting Todd officially, and then
Mhm.
it just kind of like wormholed
Yeah.
through there.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a cool period. Like I got to catch only the tail end of it, but I think there were a lot of unique bands of the kind of everything pre-internet was still, it moved a little slower and maybe a little more grassroots because of that. But,
Sure.
Yeah, I'm fortunate to have caught just a bit of it.
Yeah.
But I have the same thing where there's stuff 1983 just seems like a world away to me. Even, I was 7 and like just not really, I was too young to really be aware of what was happening. So I see things like pictures of the Banana at that time and, or bands, local bands from that time. And it was like what was going on at that time. And just sort of trying to picture the scene at that point.
Yeah. It's a very, very easy thing to romanticize.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. We're going to be getting in the car, hopping on the turnpike, taking
Nice.
that 2-hour drive over to Cleveland again.
Probably going to get pulled over.
Yeah, as soon as you cross the state line.
Yeah.
And we're going to listen to this track by Cerberus.
Okay.
So I gave this a little bit of a preview beforehand.
Okay.
And it seems like some pretty cool instrumental
Okay.
hard rock.
Nice.
I don't know if the band was all instrumental. They list all of the members on the back here. And apparently they don't have a vocalist. So
Okay.
I guess they were primarily an instrumental band, but this is a track called Rampage.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, pretty cool stuff. So let's check it out. Cerberus.
Cool song.
It's a very cool song. It's
Yeah.
very like a la Killers era Maiden.
Yes,
you know,
like some 70s era Rush,
Uh-huh.
maybe.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
cool though.
Yeah, I like
no
that.
complaints.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, we looked it up and they did have a singer at some point. I don't know why they put an instrumental track on, but it's a great song. I'm into it.
Yeah,
So-
who knows? Maybe they waited to find like the right person for the job,
Yeah.
or maybe they were in between people at the time.
Mhm.
You know how it goes.
It does. Yeah, it goes. Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever asked you this. Have you ever played in any bands?
No.
You've only just been a
DJ.
fan and a DJ.
Yeah. I started hosting radio shows in 10th grade and I just never, I don't think I like having that attention, being on stage. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah.
No, never played in any band. So,
Yeah.
we're going to go forward a few years. I think this came out in 91. This is from the one and only official mythic vinyl release that is on Relapse Records. And we're going to listen to Intro and Spawn of Absu from Mourning in the Winter Solstice. So that was just a few days ago, somewhat timely. Do that now. go.
Mythic.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Love that stuff. Makes me think, like, when I hear it, I'm like, winter, cold,
Yeah.
walking around Pittsburgh.
One of the things that like really, when I get that, bringing up the born too late sort of thing, is like, in general, just being a part of the scene when things transitioned into what would become like the early stages of death metal. I wish I could have been there for it, because it seems like such a radical shift at such a short period of time. And now, like, I don't know how much it's evolved in some ways, but there's also still like a horde of bands to this day that do stuff that sound exactly like that.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's cool. I like it. But just being a part of that actual shift, to be in the tornado, I think would have been really, really cool. But also maybe I'm just romanticizing it a little bit too much.
Yeah, I mean, I was definitely very solidly into all of that at like the kind of the time that was happening. But it really did seem like overnight death metal just kind of took over from like thrash metal. And, then like suddenly like thrash metal bands were trying to be death metal bands.
I remember
trying to keep up with that.
My first engagement with anything death metal, my dad had the Cannibal Corpse Butchered at Birth cassette tape.
Yeah.
And I remember, like, I think it was like something that like a friend or somebody gave to him, because he never really listened to it. And I think it was even like a little bit too extreme for him.
Yeah.
But I remember seeing it and being like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Like my brain couldn't even like process like the nature of the art. I just knew there was like some people, and, you know, I didn't understand the position of things, but you know, the corpses, you know, their, cunnilingus activity. But yeah, I remember just being like, you know, I'd go through his tapes and I would see it, like, you know, you look at it, it's like, I don't think that's the one.
Yeah.
You know, it would be like, my uncle had a really big VHS collection, and there would be some times where like I'd be looking at movies and he had like some horror stuff, and I'd be like, that's not the one.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. You just weren't there yet.
Yeah, I wasn't yet. Is the key.
Yeah.
The key.
Yeah, you
the
like
key
keep
movement.
it in the closet, and then when it's time, you pull that one out.
Oh yeah, but I definitely remember, like, by the time I was like fucking probably like 14 or 15, I remember taking the bus to Oakland to buy Gallery of Suicide when it came out on CD. So like it didn't take too long.
Yeah.
You know, within
it's
like
right around the corner.
Yeah. A few years later, I ended up like really getting into a lot of that early Metal Blade adjacent. 'Cause I mean, like I didn't know. It's like anything on Metal Blade, like I was like, I'll get it.
Yeah.
You know, it made sense to me. You know, you'd shop by labels.
Yeah. Oh,
and then you start like reading liner notes and bands that bands thank, or you know, T-shirts that James Hetfield was wearing, and like, you know, all that kind of shit.
Yeah.
Moving on,
back to Cleveland.
Yeah, we're heading back to Cleveland. It's a crazy road trip kind of day. I figure we were talking about Mistreater earlier. Okay. So they got a track on here called Without You, which sounds very metal.
Yes.
And it's the first track on this side here. Okay. So we'll just play that.
See
Mistreater.
That's it. Yeah, cool.
Yeah,
Great song.
it's actually, I don't really have anything too critical to say. Not that this is like a critiquing show.
There's kind of stoner rock, doom metal bands trying to
I
still do that same sound.
Oh
but
yeah.
not nearly as well.
If that band was a band now, they'd probably be crushing.
Yeah. I mean, I was, as you had that on, like two kind of sort of movies played out in my head, and that is like one being in a place like the 31st Street Pub and that band playing incredibly loud, or like walking into like a record store and someone having that just like, again, so
just
loud
on, and you're like, what the hell is this?
Focus, but this sounds amazing. Yeah, it's really cool. Robbie T actually recommended that I pick up the reissue of the first album, and I never did, and I regret doing that. So I was thinking maybe later today I'll order a copy from him.
Hell yeah.
So
yeah, Robbie is a guy that I ended up when I was at the screening, I ended up standing next to him, and we said, hey, what's up, and stuff like that, always exchanging our pleasantries as you do. And it's just funny how unbelievably humble that guy is.
Yeah.
Because like he's not in the documentary at all. He probably didn't want to be on camera. But like literally, I think every single person in that documentary mentions him at least one time in passing. Whether it's like, oh yeah, going to like Brave New World and him suggesting things, or him, doing all the music stuff. And it's just like such an important, pivotal person.
Yeah.
He
probably doesn't realize the reach he's had on people locally and beyond Pittsburgh too.
I mean, it's wild if even if he's like, recommending you like this obscure Cleveland stuff. Really has his, finger on the pulse of things. He loves it.
Yeah, he lives it.
And a lot of respect for that guy.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Shout out to Robbie.
Yeah, Robbie T.
Yeah.
Where are we going next?
Well,
I think
balls in your court, buddy.
I've only got one more here. And staying on the death metal tip, going into the early 90s here on Relapse Records. And that is Rotrevor from their 7-inch compilation of The Virtuous and Vicious. And we're going to do a song from that called Unbeknownst. This stuff is just so crushing and heavy. Rotrevor.
Yeah.
Thoughts on that?
It's very cool. And I was mentioning it's also interesting to me that it's also Relapse affiliated.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know too much about like the history of Relapse.
Yeah.
They are Pennsylvania based, right?
Yeah, they were
like
in
Philly?
Millersville, PA. Now I think they're in Philly.
Yeah, so I guess it makes sense, I suppose, in the early 90s, just kind of connecting with bands in the state, and, outside of things.
Yeah. And that's
doesn't seem like they give too much of a fuck about us these days.
No. No, probably not.
Yeah.
That's like another band with a sound that like bands are still very much trying to sound like what Rochavore did.
Yeah.
For better or for worse. Like, probably not doing it quite as well as them. But yeah, we're going back to Cleveland after a short one there.
Yeah, I feel like no, you have one more record, right? You said that was your last little bit. So yeah, I guess we'll go back to Cleveland. Now we're like really almost doing this funny yin yang of like where the sound was in the early 80s to where, you know, things would happen like a decade later.
Which is really interesting. Like those last two records are what, like 91-ish, and things had gotten pretty wild by that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to play one more record or one more track off of this comp, and then I have a Pittsburgh record on me. I haven't had the chance. I skimmed through most of the first side and only a little bit of the second side. There's a band on this called Sorcerer that I am completely unfamiliar with. Love the logo. The song's called Bloodline. I don't know anything about it. I haven't previewed it at all.
Let's do it.
So we're just going to do sort of like we're just going to go for it.
We're jumping in.
Yeah. So we'll see how this turns out.
Sorcerer.
That's Sorcerer.
So
Man,
far-
that was really cool.
yeah, that was great.
Oh my God. I really wish they would have, I do feel like they kind of took like a good song and then put like a whole other cool section onto it.
Yeah.
I wish they would have brought it back around, you know, kind of completed the circle.
I hear you. Yeah,
But
it was like
it was still cool.
Yeah, really cool song. Like all the songs from this comp have been really good. Like I would love to hear the rest of it. Yeah, and that song like reminded me of Budgie or some band like that with like a whole jam session at the end. Yeah, that's cool. Great comp.
Yeah, there's definitely, I mean, you know, we could definitely skim through some of the other stuff. Some of the stuff that I did listen to, I didn't play intentionally.
Yeah.
It was not as interesting.
Okay.
But still worth listening to.
Yeah.
Really, really cool. Glad I found this.
Yeah.
Shout outs to whoever the fuck. I don't know how this ended up in California, but happy to have found it.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
A cool
I actually lucked out on this too because when I was in that store, they had a ton of stuff. And I was like, just like, you know, I spent a lot of money in that place. And like, I already had a pile of stuff and I'm like checking out and I'm like talking with the owner and he asked me where I was from. I told him Pittsburgh. I asked him if he knew about Get Hip because I know that we sell to them. And he was like, oh, I love Greg and stuff like that. He's like, you know, we have another room.
No way.
And I was like, oh yeah? He's like, we have a bunch of stuff that's on the floor and it's all their stuff that they only sell online. Like basically their whole Discogs inventory. He was like, yeah, you can go back there. He gave me like a headlamp because they don't even have a light back there. So I have like a headlamp roading through like shelves of just shit that he has for sale on Discogs. And that's where I found this.
Oh, wow.
It was like in the back.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love that.
Because I think he probably figured like not many people just walking in off the street in California are going to want this weird 80s metal comp from Cleveland, Ohio. But
nice. I wonder if there's anything like that chronicling Pittsburgh at that time. I would be interested to find out.
I know that there's definitely some comps that exist, but I don't know if from that time, Robbie would be the guy to ask.
Yeah. Be interesting to...
I'm sure he has a handful of cassette tapes that he made.
Sure. He could probably make his own comp, which he should do.
Yeah, I'm surprised he hasn't.
Yeah.
Let's text him now. Just bombard him.
Yes. We need you to put together a compilation of early 80s Pittsburgh metal.
Yeah.
We're going to get into another song here. This is officially the last one that I am choosing. And this one goes to 1992. So 3 of mine were in that very early 90s death metal thing, which is very much where I like come of age as a fan of metal.
Yeah.
In that timeline. And this is Fatality from their Cease to Exist demo tape. They just reissued it. You can get it at the Attic and all the other prime local spots.
Where good records are sold.
Yes, where good records are sold. They were a super cool band. Dan, who played bass for them and sang, ended up in Vicious Blade for a while and Eviction for a little bit. And, Commit Suicide and some other bands as well. So yeah, we're going to listen to the first song on the first side of that. This is No Apparent Motive.
Fatality, baby.
Yeah. No, I like that one. It's a great demo. Cool time in Pittsburgh for me, anyway.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's cool that they reissued that.
Yeah.
Sticking on the death metal-esque, leaning into grindcore-esque, I brought a Pittsburgh record that I have that is more my time period. Circle of Dead Children, Genocide Machine.
Nice.
This is actually
Great
2000, so we're scooting up quite a bit. But this was I was the ripe age of 15 when this came out. I remember them being another, when I started actually going to a lot more shows. They were one of the bands I was like, oh, local music. And then, from there, that's the Commit Suicides and so much other stuff that I started falling into. I mean, the amount of bands that I could talk about would be probably endless.
Yeah.
Because that's when I started really going to shows. Was when I was like 14, 15. But yeah, this is I'm gonna play the title track from the Genocide Machine, and it fucking rips.
Yeah.
This is really, really good stuff.
Yeah.
So
Incredible band.
Circle of Dead Children. What's there to say?
Yeah. Incredible band. Great name.
Yeah.
Like, really, like, the name alone is just so fucking good.
Yeah. But yeah. And this was like, again, like when I really started going to shows, it was probably like 99, 2000, 2001, when it was basically when they would let me take the bus and start going out to places, you know?
Coming home late at night.
There was some stuff that was going on that I could walk to when I was a little bit younger in Swissvale.
Yeah, like Roboto.
Well, the Fire Hall.
Okay.
There was like a Swissvale Fire Hall show, but I didn't really like too many of those bands because it was just like rock shows, like more like alt rock stuff. Bands like EOE. I don't know if you remember those guys.
Maybe I might know that.
It wasn't like I liked heavy shit, and it just wasn't like heavy, and like those guys were all nice and stuff, and like I would meet those people later on and stuff like that. But I think going to like Roboto or wherever weirdo spot Manny could convince them to do a show at the time. That was like, definitely the start of it. And it was cool.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. It's fun to that initial period where you're just jumping in is always really fun. Yeah, I love that Circle of Dead Children song. Band is just so sick.
Yeah.
So,
and I think you brought like a couple cassette tapes and some CDs, right?
I did. Yeah.
Yeah. We don't have any way to play them.
Yeah.
But it might be fun just to
should I break
talk
those
about
out?
them. Yeah, break them out, and then because I don't have anything else today on the agenda here to listen to.
So let's start with this one. Let's go with Death Mass. These guys were, perhaps a little bit of like doom metal-ish kind of
cool.
dream death,
yeah.
Penance kind of thing, and definitely pretty heavy. Cool demo. Prolonging the Inevitable, I think, is the title of that demo. And I think they may be like...
Oh, I love that it's just like on like a tape.
Mm-hmm.
I'm taking pictures to put in the episode.
I got to see them play once, I think, at City Limits in the early 90s. And then this is actually branching out just a little bit to, I believe most of these guys are from Wheeling. This is the Psycho Scream demo tape. It's Jim Dofka on guitar, and then Tim Amar, who was in like Control Denied with Chuck Schuldiner. And I think he also sang for Triple X and a handful of other bands, Pharaoh. But that's like, state of the art speed metal, power metal kind of thing. Great band.
I've never seen a cassette tape where the text is printed upside down.
Yeah, weird. I wonder if they did that accidentally or not.
They're just psycho.
Yeah. And then I brought some reissue CDs. I think these all came out on the same label. Yeah, that Heaven and Hell Records. I don't know if they're based locally or what, but Invid was like a power metal band from Pittsburgh in the early 90s. Cool. Genghis Khan.
Yeah, was Heaven and Hell, are they the ones that did the Eviction reissue of The World Is Ours Away?
Oh, yes. Genghis Khan. I had like some of these, I had them all on cassette when they came out, and I've just misplaced them, or they're in a box in my dad's house somewhere that no one knows about. I'll find them in 30 years. And then the Tongue Bandits. I didn't have anything by them. They were, I think, a band that played bars at the time, and I was too young to have seen them or to go see them. But their singer DC Cooper ended up in like, I forget what the name of the band was. Some big German like, power metal band.
Yeah, I remember that name, that DC Cooper.
Yeah, I think the band was called like Royal something. And he was also supposedly one of the people who was considered for Rob Halford's position when he left Judas Priest.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but that cover art is pretty notable.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, that was just some stuff that I grabbed on the way out. So, yeah. Local edition of Wasted Years.
Yeah.
Fun
Local-ish,
to dig into this
local
stuff.
Cleveland, just
regional.
More. It's fun just to even tapping into stuff that's from here, but also stuff that is all, for the better part, pretty underground.
Yeah.
No Megadeths, no Slayers, none of that today.
Yeah. That's definitely super cool. And it's also, a lot of the stuff from the Cleveland era, from that comp was like 82, 83. And like very quickly, like by the time the Doomwatch record comes out, like you can see and hear how far metal had come in like a very brief time.
Yeah.
And then we get into like the early 90s and death metal, by the time you get to Circle of Dead Children, it's just like something else entirely.
Yeah, but through it all, there's still bands that sound like, the bands that were on that Cleveland comp. There's still people trying to do that stuff. And
yeah, for sure.
I don't know. It's fun. It's fun and intimidating when you think about just how many bands existed. It's like, where are these people now? What are they doing now?
Yeah.
I'd be really curious about some of the players on that Cleveland stuff. What bands did they end up in? I have no idea.
Yeah.
Are there other DC Cooper-esque type people in those bands that went off to do all this crazy stuff? No idea.
Yeah. Have to find out. I always I don't know, I'm really particularly locally, I always really dig hearing, old local bands that I didn't know existed, or just learning new things about that, the history of the local and regional scene is always really fascinating to me. So I'm happy that there's some things like the Iron and Steel document. Is it Days of Iron and Steel?
In the Days of Iron and Steel, I believe is the name of it.
Someone documenting that stuff, and we're gonna have to get on Robbie to put out a compilation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of obscure Pittsburgh heavy rock. So, but yeah, this has been super fun, and like you said, it's fun to just get into some truly deep cuts and bands that aren't things you're gonna hear otherwise.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. That's our episode.
We've got. Hopefully, we'll be uploading stuff to streaming platforms soon.
Yeah. We've been saying it, but we'll get there.
It'll happen.
Yeah. No rush.
Yeah.
The music, we're listening to music that's 30 plus years old.
Yeah.
People can wait a few weeks.
Yeah, they'll be all right.
Well, I guess that's it. That's episode 6.
Cool.
And I believe next time we're going to do cover songs.
Cover songs, yes. Yeah. A lot of good options there.
Yeah. I'll have to root through. I have a few in mind already, but we'll see what we got.
Yeah.
And I guess that's it.
That's it. Thank you.
Yeah. Be well out there. See ya.
Yeah, right.
Cool.
Done.